Yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
10 more culture shocks. Let's do it. I did the first 10 culture shocks. American Viscountess. Original link to the video, top the description. It's extremely cold, even in my room right now. How you guys doing? Good? Great? If you're not, chin up. You'll be good soon. My name's Connor. Did I say this? I like to learn things and watch stuff. Original link to the video, top the description. Right below that, link to the Discord. I'm all over the place. Let's just get right into it. 10 more culture shocks. American living in Britain. Go.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, American Viscountess. I'm Julie Montague, the American Viscountess. Thank you so much for watching all of my videos. This one is a part 2 of one that I think it's fair enough to say has done really, really well, and that was my top 10 culture shocks part 1. So this is part 2, but before we get into it, Stephen here has something to say to all of you.
I deeply apologize for saying that Canada and America are basically the same.
You've gone to Canada and that's pretty much the same thing, but that annoys me.
Don't say that.
No, he's sort of
For
right.
any offense that I've caused to your country, I am truly sorry.
No, you're good.
But anyway,
dude.
let's see what we're talking
There we go.
about today.
Okay. And he will not make that mistake again. Here we go. So thank you, Steve.
Look, the U.S. and Canada are extremely similar. Like, if you cross over from the UK into Canada, it would be like crossing from, maybe even closer, from England into Scotland or something like that. Of course, they're not the same thing, but they're very similar.
Stephen, that was very kind.
Pause
Comment below if you appreciate Stephen's apology. Right,
Not
so we
needed.
wanted to do a part 2 because part 1 was so popular. One of the things that made part 1 really popular was the words. So the words, the different words between British words and American words. It was so popular that we're doing an entire video on that. So we're going to be using the comments that you guys had about part 1 culture shocks, but in particular the different words. We're using those comments, and I'm going to be testing Stephen and Claire on a different video, and lots more words to test your knowledge coming soon. Part 2 of the top 10 culture shocks, and I think for me, the biggest, well, there's a lot of culture shocks. The biggest culture shock with my children, having 4 of them over here, was that they all speak, and forevermore will, with a British accent.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
You're saying this like
I wondered that. So, oh, wow. So they don't pick up on her.
a bad thing.
That makes sense.
It's a good thing.
It's not a bad thing, but I mean, I wish that one of them, you know, I've got 4 children, couldn't one have the American accent? How would you both feel if sort of you married, you know, I don't know, you married a Canadian, Stephen, and the child had
Part of your family's Canadian. That's one of the reasons why I apologise, because I don't want to be barred from the country.
I was
I've got a visa.
You won't be welcome in their house.
That's right, you're both
I heard
going
everything
to
there, don't worry.
Canada. You absolutely had to do that apology.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they're going to Canada.
Not sure, I'd feel conflicted. I think it'd be better than my accent, because I'm originally from Liverpool. I think my accent, or the people, the Liverpudlians, or Scousers as we're called, I don't like that accent. It's very harsh, and I just don't like it. So.
But you don't have that accent.
No.
I like your accent. Comment below if you like Stephen's accent. Can you, everybody, by the way, when you hear Stephen and Claire talk, can you tell a difference in their accents? So I can, only because I've been here for over 20 years. But what would you say is the biggest difference between your 2 accents?
I need to hear him one more time.
We tease each other on the way we say butter.
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 Butter? You mean like the butter that you put in bread?
Like the...
Yeah.
How do you say it?
Butter.
Butter.
Butter, yeah.
Butter.
Butter.
I say
yeah.
Butter.
Butter.
That's, yeah, butter.
Guys, I
That's
don't
what
mean to
I'm-
be, I don't mean to look like an arsehole, which I probably am. All right, all fun. I'm not a huge fan of the New England accent, so
Or I guess,
I gotta shut.
I don't know.
That's a north and south thing.
It's
I
north
think.
and south thing.
Yeah.
And then the American just says butter.
Yeah, without any teeth.
Without any teeth and with an at the end. Butter.
Yeah.
It's like water. Right? How do you say water then?
Water.
Water. Yeah, it's always a T, yeah. Water.
Okay. So see, accents, very, very difficult. When I married my husband, I always said we will not send any of our children to boarding schools. It's a thing over here. lo and behold, the youngest is at boarding schools. I really had to get my head around this, but it's different than sending your children to American boarding schools in many ways. It's just how they do it over here. Of course, the other 3 children went to a normal, what we call day school, as in
Private
they
school.
go to school during the day,
Normal school.
normal school, and they come home at night. But the boarding
Sorry,
schools
never
here are really well known. I mean, obviously that's where Prince William and Prince Harry, well, and the entire royal family was educated, was in boarding schools. But my youngest chose to go to boarding school, and I have to say, it is the best thing for him. He loves it. He doesn't like
I
London.
say one thing I really do like about private schools and boarding schools is uniforms. I think uniforms are a good thing for students, in primary school, whatever you want to call it, so they can take their mind off that in the morning or during school and just know everyone's wearing the same thing and you're there to learn. I think it would create a better atmosphere. I never went to a private school. I went to public school, so I never had a uniform.
He wants the country and he loves boarding school. But what is it, the two of you, what is it about boarding schools over here?
Yeah, I mean, you worked at one.
I was going to say, I worked at boarding school. I never went to a boarding school.
Right, but you worked at one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a tradition, isn't it? It's there are lots of extracurricular activities there, and they do get immersed in sport and rugby and those
And
things are quite
school
strong.
on a Saturday as well. So the school that I worked at, they had like morning school on a Saturday.
Yeah, I think there's just
Yeah.
a lot of extracurricular, but I mean, going to school on Saturday, that would be appealing
maybe
to
not
me,
appeal
but
to that, yeah.
clearly it is to Nestor.
And anyone who went to boarding school or private school, isn't it usually mandatory that you have some sort of extracurricular activity? Because, I mean, you're living at the school and you don't have. There needs to be some kind of structure for the kids when they don't have their parents around every day, So I feel like it would be pretty common to have mandatory extracurricular activity, right?
Do you guys know about this? Because I know you've never been to the States.
No,
You've never been to the
No.
States. But you've been to Canada.
Yeah.
You've
which
been
isn't the same thing.
Same thing.
But, so you know that in America, we put ice in everything.
Yes, yeah.
Ice is in everything.
Yeah.
Here, when I first moved here, I'd be like, is there any way I could get some ice for that? And like, at that time, over 20 years ago, most restaurants would be like, no, we don't have ice.
There's, they're coming out fairly. There's a few more of them on the market nowadays, but the big sort of French freezers, which have got the ice compartment in them, that's a new thing here. And I assume, it's
hear that?
just
Yeah.
normal over in the
right.
States.
And with the water dispensers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
new
you're
over
doing
here.
really well if you've got one of those.
Yeah, like over here, if you have an ice dispenser connected to your refrigerator with water that comes out, I mean, you are golden. Like that doesn't. I only think I've seen that at like one person's house.
Yeah, very few.
It's very few people have that. They just don't have that. Strange. I want to talk about also over here, fizzy water. We call it fizzy water. Fizzy
Like a
water is
sel-
super
or
popular.
seltzer.
So
Yeah.
sparkling water, fizzy water is I just don't remember that in America, but maybe because comment down below if now in America fizzy water, sparkling water is super popular, because over here it's more popular than I think still water.
Yeah,
I don't know about super. I really love seltzer, sparkling.
yeah. All restaurants will offer both.
Yeah.
I've never seen the appeal, but
I don't
you've
like
got,
sparkling water
yeah.
personally.
Yeah, well, you're two bad examples. But no, Luke loves it. Luke loves the sparkling water.
Yeah, I don't know. My husband loves sparkling water, and now I love sparkling water, and actually all of our kids love sparkling water. Yeah. So there you go. This is going to go back to part one a little bit more. I'm going to elaborate about the weather. Most of you said, yeah, you agreed with me that the weather is, those of you who have visited England or the UK or Scotland, the weather isn't great. But the point I want to make about that is if you look at, let's say, I don't know, San Diego. So San Diego in America has like over 300 days out of 365 days of sunshine. Over here,
Too much.
basically, it's the
Wait.
opposite. It's the opposite. We literally, I swear we must have 300 plus days of cloudy, rainy weather.
It certainly feels like
right?
that, yeah.
And the summers, we get 1 week of summer in the summer.
Yeah.
Don't you agree that there's 1 week that it's warm and you're like, this is our summer?
Yeah, I remember 3 years ago it was really hot for about 3 months, but we'll be talking about that for decades because that was.
Is she exaggerating or 1 week?
Extraordinary. Every other summer, it's just been compared
But
to
then
that.
that was the year that I was in Canada at that point, and they had a heat wave, and then as soon as my family and I got over there, rain. And then my dad stayed in the UK, and he was messaging us like, we've got a heat wave over here, and we've got thunder and lightning over here.
By heat wave, we mean like high 20s, 20 degrees Celsius, which
it might hit 30.
Which is like high 70s, early 80s,
Like
or
70,
low 80s.
I mean, not
70
that
degrees.
magnified,
Yeah,
but-
I remember there was a heat wave in like 2006, and I only remember that because I was pregnant with Nestor. And everybody still today talks about the heat wave, which was now 15 years ago.
Yeah.
We haven't had a heat wave since then, have we, like that?
No, well, the 2018 one was pretty extraordinary. But it was
2018, you're
it didn't rain. It didn't rain for
right,
3 months,
2018.
which was extraordinary.
And then if we
still
get
talking about
snow, we'll talk about that for years. If we get
Years
just
and
a
years.
little bit of snow.
That much. That
White-
much. And then all
white
schools are
Christmas.
canceled.
If you look at my most recent YouTube, we just had a giant blizzard come through. There's still like 2 feet of snow outside. Most snow I've seen in a long time, and we get a good amount of snow each winter. And so, yeah.
You get this much snow. And all schools are
Chaos.
canceled. I grew up in Chicago. Like, we wouldn't get schools closed unless it was like literally 5 feet of snow.
Yeah, no, it causes absolute chaos. Everything's cancelled.
The weather.
Everyone's crashing on the roads. It's quite
The
fun.
weather. We're still talking about the weather. Moving on from the weather, the pub. Let's just talk about the pub. Everybody goes to the pub. So I now have, by the way, the drinking age here is 18. So I want to put that out there before I talk about our 20-year-old, who his favorite thing in the whole wide world is to go to the pub. And I honestly think that you go to the pub with your mates to get a pint. You're not necessarily always going to the pub to, you know, sort of
Have a meal or anything like that. Yeah, it's
Can I just say one thing about the drinking age of 18? I think sometimes there's an unintended negative effect with a 21 age drinking age, in that in those late teen years when you get a hold of alcohol at a party or something, it's illegal. You're not going to get every chance, and so I think it promotes more of an over drinking over here. I don't know for sure, but I think there might be something to the 18 year that would kind of give more discipline to people before. Anyways,
just to have a drink.
It's just to have a drink, to have a pint. I think that was the biggest thing when lockdown, because over here it was quite extreme, and the 2 older children were in Edinburgh, going to school at University of Edinburgh, and when the pubs outdoor, do you remember that was that period, like you could
Only
go to a pub
outdoors,
only outdoors, everybody flocked to the pubs. And they were all outdoors because it was just like the pint is back, the pub is back.
You had to book for a drink. You had to go on their website and book a spot outside.
Queue down the road, hours on end.
Hours on end, just to get that pint at a pub. There is nothing like getting a pulled pint at a pub.
A good draft beer, warm beer. Well, it has to be at a certain temperature from a cellar.
So speaking of pints, I mean, obviously I'm a beer drinker. I love a pale ale. I'm a lager pale ale, but what are you, Stephen?
I like lagers, pale ales,
Claire,
You just don't like beer.
Somerset cider.
Oh my God, that's right. You're a cider girl.
Cider drinker.
That's right, cider drinker.
Celiac?
Love that.
One thing about pubs is the pub quiz, which we should probably do. If you want to see a video of us doing a pub quiz, then hit the like button.
Wait,
and
is that trivia?
That is a
we'll do
great
that.
idea. We could
But
do
they're
a pub.
really popular.
Yeah, and they're on like Monday nights or Tuesday nights.
Yeah,
We
like
have to book a
quizzes.
table. Pub quizzes are so popular. I'm rubbish at them. That's my word, rubbish. So we will do a pub quiz. Comment below if you want us to do, Claire, Stephen, and I, to do a pub quiz. And we will have a cider. You can have an ale or a pale ale, and I'll have a lager,
I'll have a
right?
Guinness.
And we can do it at the Coach House, our cafe here at Matterton, and we can pull the pints and do a pub quiz.
We'll think of a pub quiz name as well, which is always quite good.
If
They
you
need
have-
to be witty and British.
Yeah, witty and British.
Yeah.
I'll leave it over to you, unless some of you have some down below. Comment. Next culture shock. Hollywood blockbusters arrive much later here.
Yes.
As does what else, Stephen, you were telling me?
Technology. So I'm waiting
Even
for a
like
new
British-made
laptop.
Hollywood blockbusters.
I like my technology, as you've probably all gathered, but the new Apple laptops have been out in the States for weeks now, and I'm waiting another 2 or 3 weeks to get it. And it's more expensive.
Yep.
I can't work that one out. It's VAT or something, isn't it?
We're going to get on that culture shock too, a thing called VAT. So anytime a big Hollywood blockbuster comes out, we don't get it at the same time as the States.
I get the movie, I guess, delay, but like on like Apple products, that
have to
that's
wait.
strange to me.
Sometimes it's like months. Sometimes it is months. It just depends on the deal, but we never get it at the same time.
No. This is why we love YouTube, because you all get it at the same time.
That's right. This is why we love YouTube. Hit subscribe down below if you love YouTube as much as we do. So that moves me on to the next thing. Things are more expensive here, and it's not just because of the pound to the dollar, which of course fluctuates, but we have a thing called VAT. I've learned to love VAT only because it's hidden. So when I go to the shops and something says that it's £15, it's £15. I don't then have to dig through my wallet to find, well, back in the day before we could tap, to find change, because when I would go up to the till or cash register, it would be £15 plus.
Yeah, I'm pausing too much. I get it. I do not get why we do this over here. Why not just put the post-tax price on the price at the shelf? Why don't we do that? It's always infuriated me. It's like the thing with remember like the $5 footlong, like Subway in America, like the $5 footlong thing. It's like, oh, $5, and in the commercial they have like $5 bill. Oh, you got a $5 bill? I'm going on a tangent. You can get a footlong, and it's like I'll go there. I'll get like a footlong with like turkey and lettuce and onions and mustard, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's $10.95." And I'm like, not like $8.95. But I'm like, well, I'm going off. I don't get why we do this.
9% tax, and then it would be something else. But our VAT here is 20%. When I moved to this country, I think that
it was 17.5, which is even more confusing.
Yeah, it was 17.5.
Try and work that one out.
It was 15% beforehand, was it? And then it was 17.5.
Yeah.
And then it was 20.
Yeah, a while ago.
I've only known
it's different for different rates as well. So for hospitality, for the pubs, it's 5%. For some things,
for food.
It's different. Yeah, it's different.
But like clothing, 20%. Anything you buy,
there was
laptop.
It was 20%. A kind of the political scandal a little while ago where there was a difference between cold pasties, the Cornish pasties that you eat, or hot pasties, and one had 5% tax and one had 20% tax. So it's confusing. It's really confusing.
Because hot food has 20% tax on it, cold food doesn't. I've had a lot of you ask a question: what the heck is an AGA? And it is an AGA. It's an AGA. Don't ask me what that stands for. I probably should know.
I think it's a Swedish thing, isn't it, AGA? The company's Swedish. But it's become so popular over here.
So popular over here. And this gets heated by oil. It is on all of the time apart from the summer months. When we have that 1 week of summer, we turn it off. But this used to be because when houses like this weren't heated because of the great expense and that would go into it, the warmest room in the house was the kitchen because of the AGA. So everybody just came in here, and it still is
not
the warmest place in the house. So that brings me on to the next culture shock, which kind of goes back to my etiquette video, which, thank you very much, has done really well. Thank you for all your comments on how not to lay at a table, but is warming plates.
I gotta check that out.
Okay, before arriving in this country, I'd never heard of such a thing. But my husband is a stickler, and every time we have a meal, the plates have to be warm. And you know what? It makes sense.
That's a good idea.
Because it keeps your food warm.
Yes,
do you guys do that?
Yeah, my mum does it all the time.
But we don't.
We tend to not. No.
Apart from
We don't hear, but that's a good good idea. The plates are always cold in the cabinet, and you're just right away.
roast dinner.
Yeah.
So like my mum will always, it will be a hot plate for a roast dinner.
Right.
Yeah.
So you do it.
I think
occasionally. Yeah.
It made sense in country houses because you have your AGA and you have your dining room, which is away from the heat. So you need to give the food the best possible chance to stay warm when you take it into a freezing cold room.
Exactly.
So,
right.
yeah.
So it does kind of make sense. The last kind of culture shock, I think, and I'm going to bring this to light, which I think is quite a good culture shock, is the NHS. So in America, there's you got to fork out a lot of money to have private insurance. And I remember arriving to this country and people in America saying, my friends saying to me, oh my gosh, but you're gonna have like the NHS, like you're gonna have like socialized medicine. And I'm like, I know. But now I am so happy.
Americans are like social. I can't even make you guys get mad whenever I make jokes about like
have it. The NHS over here, everybody, is amazing. When people say,
I'm not
oh,
saying
but you
it's not.
can't get the best treatment, yeah,
I have
you
to learn
can.
about it.
You can get really
Sure,
good
it's better
treatment
than over
because
here.
as a doctor, the doctors, even if you can go private here, and all that means is you're going to be seen a little bit quicker.
It's a real, it's brilliant. It is absolutely
Brilliant.
brilliant. I've never used it, and well, pretty much never used it.
I've used it because I've had children being born over here. I didn't go privately. I used it.
Yeah.
It was amazing, and I didn't have to pay any out of pocket for having children. Whereas I think in the States you have to
Absolutely.
pay to
Yeah.
have your children.
Yeah. It's a fantastic.
any Americans who's any American women out there in the comments that's had a child. I've never thought about that. How much does it cost for like a visit for giving birth? And
institution.
It is a brilliant institution. So I think for me that was one of a bright spot of a culture shock. Not so much the weather, but the NHS. Cheers to the NHS. So that is a wrap of my top 10 culture shocks. Again, part 2 with Stephen and Claire. We do hope you enjoyed it. Please just give any examples down below that you can relate to any of the culture shocks that we've said here, or any ones that you've experienced on your own. We will be coming back with you very, very soon with, again, not only pub quiz, but we're going to be doing a quiz about words. We're going to pick 25 words that you guys wanted me to talk about from my last video, the difference between British and American words, and I'm going to test these 2 here. Bye, everybody.
all right, cool video, like the last one too. There's a channel, great channel. Check them out. Yeah, I enjoy these top 10 videos, top 25, whatnot. Easy content. Hope you guys are all doing well. If not, keep your chin up. You'll be good soon. Emotions are fickle, my friend. See you next time, guys.